Karen Holton TV presents the Quantum Guide Show, featuring ordinary people sharing their extraordinary gifts within our social reality. Welcome back, everybody, to the Quantum Guide Show. Today, I'm pleased to bring on my returning guest, Tyler Scott. Tyler is the owner of the Lost Channel CE5 Research Center and is the host of the ExCoppernikiss show. Tyler believes that the biggest challenge anyone in this field faces is shifting human perspectives of reality from Newtonian physics to the quantum. Tyler hosts CE5 events and is working on an investigative series in quantum reality. At the Lost Channel CE5 Meditation Echo Retreat and Research Center, Tyler approaches reality from a frequency perspective rather than from a dimensional perspective. Dimension implies a spatial dimension, which is a thing, but Tyler sees the larger version as light, which moves faster because it has more space to cover. And this is why our thoughts and creations are manifested quicker at higher frequencies, and why it's slower and denser down here. The way he sees it, all of reality is coded fractally and is constantly unfolding into larger versions of itself. Today, Tyler speaks to how electromagnetism forms the foundation of navigating reality and how it applies to mental health, CE5, and psychic development. He is currently working on a holistic mental health model. All of the links are featured below in the description. I want to thank you in advance for liking, commenting, subscribing, and please do share my content with your friends as I'm trying to grow my channel. And for those of you who would like to take a larger part in my channel, you can now take out a membership and you can receive my books and you can help to support my channel. Without further ado, I bring on my guest, Tyler. How you doing today? Nice to see you.
Hi, Karen. I'm well. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been good. I got no complaints, and if I did, no one would listen anyway, right?
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to you like this today because I can barely hear you today, so bear with me.
I'm so sorry. I don't know how to fix it.
No, that's my end. I'm in the snowstorm. I'm on my cell phone. It's not working right.
Oh, you got a snowstorm. Yeah, we just had
Yeah.
one. Oh my gosh.
We have our internet's dependent on the weather.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Just looking quickly for some of your links to put them up on the screen. Denise, I have two moderators, Phoenix and Denise, and they've been working very hard at getting all these links up for the people that arrive in the live chat. And
awesome. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out how to do live stuff. I haven't figured any of that stuff out.
In the long run, well, in the long run, I just found it easier because I don't have to spend hours with my video editing software.
That's it, 100%, right? It makes it way easier.
Okay. Sorry, just
so I'm going to try. Can I switch to trying my computer here?
Yeah, of course you
Sorry
can.
for everyone listening. Not a very good opening.
That's okay. I mean, what?
Can I try it? Well, if I try it on my computer here, will it work?
Yeah, it should. And you should actually be able to do both.
Oh, I can do both.
There. Yeah. And then
camera 1, camera 2.
Yeah, but you are getting an echo, so you will have to do something about.
Okay, I'm just gonna turn one off.
Yeah, keep the one you like best and turn the other one off would be good. There, how's that?
There we go.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, it's been in the -20 centigrade here. We're both in Canada, but with the real feel, because it's windy, and very dry. It's been like -40. It's too cold. I went out and took my garbage out this morning, and I only had to walk 10 steps, and it was enough to get back in the house and warm up in a hurry.
Yeah,
So
we just had that cold snap too, big time. Then it melted, and now we just got another foot of snow today.
yeah, yeah. But the good news is can't last forever. I mean, it melts quicker now because it's coming into spring, so we'll see, right?
Absolutely.
So you've been doing some really interesting research for a while now, and sometimes I have trouble expressing myself in frequency. So if I lapse into density talk, please forgive me. But I don't always, I'm not an expert, and I don't always, say it properly. But I'm,
Well,
oh, listen,
that's why I wanted to talk to you today, to run some stuff by you, see how you interpret it, because I'm coming at it from the other side. I'm a left brain guy. I look at it like it's a machine, and
yeah.
the women especially have much more intuitive right brain understanding of the subjects that we're talking about than left brain people. So I think it's
Well,
good to
to
hear that
be
both sides.
to be To be honest with you, a lot of this, I have no idea how it works. I just know it works. Let me give you a little
Exactly.
example. Yesterday was my birthday. My sister sent me a little package to open on. She says, wait and don't open it until your birthday. So yesterday was my birthday. I went to get the
Oh, happy
package.
birthday!
Thank you. I'm 70. I can't believe it. I'm an
You're
old
not.
lady.
Stop it.
Yes, it's all true. Um, anyway, so I was looking for this package and I couldn't find it anywhere. It was nowhere where I know I left it. It was driving me crazy. I started gaslighting myself. I started looking through all the cupboards and drawers. What the heck did I do with my present? I was really upset. So I sat down on the bed and I went, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my sixth sense because obviously my five senses is not doing anything, right? And so what I did was I sat on my bed and my brain kept going, oh, maybe it's here, maybe it's there. But my higher self, without words, just let me know to stop thinking. So I stopped thinking, and it didn't even take 2 seconds. I'm not kidding, Tyler. And I knew exactly where it was. So my cats had knocked it off my dresser and it had slid between two other objects. I never would have found it in a million years, maybe when I moved one day. And I knew exactly where it was. I got up, I walked 3 steps, I reached down, and there it was. Now I can't explain how that works, but it works. It's so cool when
That
it works.
that's such a perfect example. It's like every time I talk to you, you just fill in the gaps of things that we want to talk about. That's literally the perfect example about what I'm trying to relay about electromagnetism. Everything we know, everything is energy, right? We know it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just energy. It's just fields of energy that we're perceiving
Empty
as
space. Yeah.
physicality because of how our brain perceives stuff, just the
Yeah.
limited range of light that it receives, and as well as our indoctrination into the Newtonian rules of reality. So we think it's physical, but it's really just energy. It's just a field of light being held together by two opposing forces. So
And
sorry, go ahead.
sorry. Well, I was just going to ask you for clarification for myself and possibly the viewers. So we know about cymatics. It's my understanding that when we look at things from a frequency perspective, is it cymatics that is forming everything that we perceive as being solid?
Yes, yeah, everything, yeah, exactly. Everything is a cymatic frequency. All of reality is a cymatic frequency. Everything is light being organized by sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're basically a walking hologram. Without the sound organizing the light, it would just fall apart. It's the yin and yang of the universe. This electric and magnetic push and pull mechanism of the universe, and that it applies to. We don't teach. We're having such issues with trans right now, right? Everybody's there's huge. I don't want to get into that today, but what was in the news recently in shooting in Canada, trans is a huge issue. We're not really telling people what feminine and masculine energy is. When I understood this, it changed my perspective of all my relationships between everyone I've ever known, because I didn't understand that masculine and feminine energies are foundational to our reality. They are what we are before we are what we are. And they apply to us at every level. And electromagnetism applies to every aspect of our story here: what we look like, how our relationships function, how the earth functions. It's all an electromagnetic reality. So what I'm trying to do is, we in Canada, we are in our justice system, our educational indoctrination system, and our healthcare system, we only go up to a Newtonian level. There's a cap on our science. Says you're not really supposed to know what's below this. You're not allowed to implement any medicine or technology into society, because it would just heal everybody and it wouldn't generate any revenue. So within all these systems, we have this Newtonian control paradigm. It's where the muggles, the 99%, they're only supposed to know reality from the perspective of science from the 1700s, and they're not supposed to know what our intelligence agencies, our parasitic class, and our the really bad guys, they all know. They have a quantum model of reality, where they're not saying, oh, we're managing resources on Earth for monkeys. That's basically how we're supposed to believe we exist. But they're literally programming how we as a collective perceive reality. And that is into the Newtonian. That's the Newtonian control paradigm in a nutshell.
And it also explains why energy medicine works so well. So that could be Reiki, it could be essential oils, could be crystals, orgone generators, or so acupuncture. It all is frequency related, so it heals us physically, but it also heals us on a higher level as well. Interesting little tidbit. I used to live in Tumbler Ridge, where that horrific situation arose, less than a week ago. So it was kind of near and dear to me. But I think, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this, that I think a lot of people who perceive themselves as trans, they're missing the boat. Like, for instance, I know the left side of my body is what we call my female energy, and my right side is what I call the male energy. We've got one side of our brain could be classified that way, while the other is more intuitive. And it's also the same as yin and yang. And yin and yang, we perceive it as a sphere divided into two sections, but it's actually spinning so fast that it's one phenomenon. And so I think that a lot of these people are perceiving, maybe they're born, for instance, a biological male, and they're perceiving that they're missing that female part of them, or they're wanting to express that. Well, they get dragged into this medical model, which I know we could make a whole podcast about it. I'll try to keep it brief. Whereas maybe if they just learn to strengthen the other side hemisphere of their brain and focused on balancing both kinds of energies, maybe they would feel better. I don't know. Just going to throw that out there.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. We got off track on the trans aspect of this, but exactly. This is the foundation of understanding those energies. Why you might be feeling these particular energies. That's going to be a whole other show. That's that'll
have to come back and do that another. Okay.
So let's go back and go over the basics of it, right?
Okay.
So everything is made of atoms. The whole universe is in the shape of an atom. Oh, my co-host wants to be here. This is where I get all my wisdom from. Mighty Montezuma's.
Oh.
Anyways, so everything is an atom, right? And how does an atom work? It's a vortex of light, of information. It's a dense core in the middle, and then there's bits of it that go out. They take an electric trip out into outer space, and then they reach their arc, and then they take a magnetic trip back to their core. And this just goes on forever and ever and ever and ever, and it creates that word we like, torus, or the donut. Well, if you apply that to you as a human being, all your personality, all your traits, everything you do and say, everything you think, can all be articulated by this principle of outgoing electric energy and magnetic returning energy. And if you can, for people that have PTSD or any of those issues, if you understand yourself as an energy and not as a mistake, then you can take a step back and look at your behavior with that buffer zone between what you're doing and who you think you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, so we are, and sometimes in some philosophies or ways of looking at it, they call it a Merkaba. Some, with the triangle pointing up and the triangle pointing down, which symbolizes the energy fluctuations within the toroidal field. It's all very, very interesting, but bringing it down to a more well, actually, probably this isn't practical. I have a question for you. I'm sorry, did you want to continue on that train of thought before I ask you a question?
No, go ahead. Basically, what I'm trying to get across is, and what we can go into details, but write down a note, because I want to come back to it, about your experience finding your whatever it was, because we still haven't gone over that.
Okay.
That led into exactly what I'm trying to say, is that...
Okay, let's go there first, because we already started on that. Thank you. Yeah, so I was looking for this small package, was just going crazy looking for it, but it wasn't until I sat there and emptied my mind and just was open to the universe to tell me where it is. And I believed that it would, and it did. Just like that, less than not even 2 seconds, maybe not even 1 second. Boom, I knew exactly where it was.
So that's exactly what I'm trying to relay here. How to do that stuff, deal with your mental health, develop psychic intuition, and have contact with freaking UFOs. It's all the same thing. It's all this understanding how energy works. And that's exactly what you're doing. When you get up, you're magnetic in bed. You're not worried about going into the world, right? So you are in your most feminine magnetic state. As soon as you get out of bed, you're using electric energy. This is your masculine energy. You're going away from your center, from your source, and you're going out in the world to do things because you need to survive. You need to use your left logical thinking brain in order to survive the environment that you're in. Those are electrical. That's your electrical side of your mind working in action. So when people get PTSD, that is an overdrive. They cannot turn that off. They can't come out of that survival state. They're constantly living in the past or the future. Oh, I almost got fucking killed by this fuck. Pardon my French. I'm worried about it happening again. And you can never get back. You can never be grounded in the moment. And that's basically the root of a lot of mental health issues. And if you have this understanding of yourself as this ball of energy that we all are, demonstrating electric and magnetic energy, then you can understand your behavior from I think, a more logical, scientific, deeper perspective, because the forces of yin and yang that you opened with, that you knew exactly what I was going to talk about, are the two basic alchemical constants of your reality. They apply to every aspect of your being. They should be the foundation of how you do everything and how you understand everything. But they're just left out completely from our education in Canada. Other than don't put forks in sockets, right? and magnets pick up iron. So basically you are this electromagnetic structure. So exactly what you were doing, you were using electric energy and your logical thinking brain to go out and you're trying to look for something, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
from your one position, you know, I have a task to accomplish out here. There's keys out in my area. I need to go out. My mission is I need to go and return those keys. Okay, let's use our left side of the brain. Where were the last places we logically use them? Oh, I came out from the car and then I changed into my
Mm-hmm.
jammies or whatever, right? You're using your electric brain. As soon as you said, okay, this isn't working, you stop that logical thinking. You just retreated into yourself and felt into your nervous system. Your nervous system is like, you are mostly just feeling, and we've been kind of trained to believe everything is our reality is with our eyes, but most of what we perceive as a being is through our nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you focus on your nervous system, the more and turn off that logical thinking yang mind, then you become into a more magnetic yin state, and that's when you tune into the information field, right? Because we believe that we're something separate from the air and the seat and whatever, but we're really not. We're just the same energy source interacting with each other. We're just the luckiest parts to be sentient in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when you tune into your nervous system, when you turn off your thinking, your logical brain, and you're not, then that's when the psychic stuff happens. That's when CE5 stuff happens. Like if you know how to do that. That's not
Yeah.
something that I ever knew was possible or understood or even thought about until I was in my late 30s, right? That most of the world is in that school of thought. That's what we've all been trained to perceive.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you do that, you just knew it, right? It was in the field.
Yeah, you just know. You just know. I mean, same with my ET experiences. People want to know how can you give me 3 easy steps to be able to do what you do? Well, not exactly, because first of all, I'm not even really clear on how it happened. But it was amazing. And so I use my the funny thing is I don't always think to use my ESP or my nervous system, but my nervous system never lies to me. You know, I can meet somebody and my nervous system tells me to beware. They'll say, whoa, you know, red flag. And I know it's a red flag, but then my intellectual mind will go, oh, come on, Karen, you don't even know them. Give them the benefit of the doubt, blah, blah, blah. And after much anguish and time goes by, I realize that the red flag that I was shown right in the beginning through my nervous system was right, absolutely right every time. So I've started listening to it. And sometimes I go, oh, maybe I'm making a mistake. But then I go, you know what? I'd rather err on the side of caution than to, spend my life trying to sort out who's safe and who's not and all that other stuff. Sorry, I didn't mean to go down another rabbit hole. I
No,
didn't
that
mean to do
that
that.
that that leads perfectly into what we're talking about. So, yes. Hold on. What did it just cut out there?
Oh,
So,
are you still okay? You're still with us.
yeah, there you go. I've just had a brain fart. What did you just say, Karen? I was so excited, I've completely forgotten.
What I just said?
Yeah, just repeat that
Um,
whole just one more time.
yeah. So when I meet a person,
You,
if there's going to be a
your nervous
problem, my
system.
nervous system physically, right in my gut, it's like getting punched in the gut. It's so strong, and it's a red flag. But if I override it with my thinking, going, "Oh, come on, give them the benefit of the doubt," or
So
other people are. Sorry, I'll just
let's
stop
look
there.
at this as energy, right?
Okay.
So all what you're talking about is you as a logical structure. You're a being, right? Your left brain's thinking, oh, I have hands and I can see myself in the mirror and I'm here and everybody else is here, so I'm a being. That's only like your one part of your one half. That's your left brain logical thinking brain. The other half is your right brain, your feminine thinking brain, but that's the half that's connected to all the rest of reality. All of reality is zeros and ones. It all comes from nothingness into a logical space. Think of planets as like points of attention, points of logical attention, where this part of the universe has figured it out how it kind of works enough to survive, but doesn't really have the picture from the rest of the universe. So a planet is like a logical thinking point of attention, but the rest of it is negative space. It's just what we consider empty. It's just non-thinking. It doesn't make sense. The further we look out into space, the more crazy fucking it's going to be. Everything's going to not even make sense to us from our ability to interpret reality from our one dimension, our one reality, our one biosphere. So the more you turn off, the more you turn off your left logical thinking mind and get into that greater knowing space, that's where the best psychics all live. They're people like me, or anyone in emergency services, or everyone that has to leave their house to go into the world is geared into left brain, patriarchal, electrical thinking. The people that develop this other way, they're not worried about surviving. They're not worried about paying. They have all their needs met. They don't have to worry about that stuff. Then that's when they develop their right brain stuff. The working psychics today are all living in that state of just feeling with their nervous system. They're not thinking about, they don't go into a room and go, look, there's this person, that person, this person can do this person can do that, whatever. If I need to get out of the room, I can get out here. They're not doing that. They're going in, they're not worrying about their electric side of their brain, and they're just feeling. They're focusing on their nervous system, because the nervous system is all of reality. You're basically coming in from your nervous system, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. The way I understand it too is, oh, sorry, I had a brain fart too. The way I understand it too is that
I need to take notes when I talk to you. We made this mistake last time because you fill in so many points for me, and I get excited about that point, and then I've forgotten.
Yeah, same for me when I'm talking to you. But you could always watch the replay, and I don't know if there's a transcript available or not. But I have a question to ask you that is kind of on the same line of thought. Well, maybe, and that is, we've been taught in school and all through our reality that we live in a three-dimensional reality. One dimension is a point, two dimensions is back and forth, three, and that we live in 3D. I'm wondering if the truth of the matter is that we live in 4D, but we've been brainwashed into thinking we live in the 3D.
Can't hear you now, Karen.
You can't hear me? Not at all?
Oh no.
Oh no. I don't know what to. Okay, people in the chat.
I'm gonna try and relocate.
You relocate, and I'm gonna ask my dear friends in the live chat, guys, can you hear me and Tyler, or is one of us mute, or what's happening to you as far as you guys are getting it in the chat? If you could let me know, it would be awesome. Oh, okay. Gabberby says that. Okay, so Gabberby says that the audio is clear, and Phoenix is saying both are coming across no problem. So the problem seems to be with the internet connection and the storm that Tyler's experiencing where he lives in Eastern Canada. So let's give him a minute to log back in, and then I'm going to give him the rest of my question. So, but I'll tell the audience while we're waiting for Tyler. So the rest of my question starts with, what if we actually live in a 4D reality, but we're taught that it's a 3D reality, and so we think it is because we've been programmed to see reality that way. And then I thought, well, wonder why. Why would they want us? Because I have all these 4-dimensional experiences and 5, and I don't actually believe that I'm strictly a 3-dimensional being. So I thought, what do they have to gain by teaching us that we live in 3D? And I was thinking the reason is because it puts us in a lower frequency state. Oh, Tyler's back. That it puts us in this lower frequency state so that we're more easily fed on by archons
Hello.
and stuff like that. Hi, can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Tyler? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, come on.
Uh-oh. Oh, gee. Okay. Let's just see. There he is.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh my god. I'm gonna try relocating.
Okay.
I'm trying to talk from here.
Okay. There, I just sent him a couple of little messages so he knows the status of what's going on. And he's going to come back in. Oops, sorry, guys, got a runny nose. So, yeah, it's kind of, oh no, it's kind of terrible that we're having these technical issues right in the middle of a really deep discussion. And I know all of you have been very patient with us. I hope you'll continue to be very patient with us. And I'm sure he'll be right back on any minute now. Yeah, that's very frustrating. So it is his internet, because he has had the problem with the phone, with his phone, using his phone, but also using his computer. So it worked for a while and then it stopped working. So you know what? If we can't get through this today, guys, I will rebook Tyler and we'll redo the show because it's so, so important. I'm just going to finish what I was telling you before while we're waiting for Tyler. So long story short, we've been taught we live in 3D. We believe we live in 3D. We perceive things as though we live in a 3D, but really we live in 4 or 5 or maybe even higher. And why would they want to convince us that we live in 3D? And I think it's because the lower our frequency, the more chances we have of being connected to nefarious or evil or demonic forces. Like, for instance, archons can feed on you, and all that stuff. So people often ask me, how come I haven't had more negative ET experiences? And I explain that it's because I keep my frequency high enough, and nefarious beings and low frequency beings can't connect with me, and it keeps my field clearer, and therefore I'm able to have that kind of contact. So that's why I came up with that question. So as soon as Tyler's able to hear us, Tyler, I don't know if you can hear me, but everybody can hear both of us. I can hear you. I
I'm
think it
back.
was,
Can
you're
you hear me
back.
now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's all good. I
It,
explained to everybody what was going on with the snowstorm and internet. Okay, can I ask you my question again?
yes, please.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, we're taught and programmed to believe we live in a now here I'm speaking in dimensions because I don't have language to speak of it in a frequency, so I hope you can translate it, okay? So I know that I operate in fourth and fifth and maybe even sixth dimensional realities. I don't believe I'm a three-dimensional being. So then I was wondering, why would we be taught that we're three-dimensional beings when we're not? And it occurred to me that perhaps it keeps our frequency low enough that we're able to be used and abused by nefarious forces, which are low frequency. So we're closer down. We believe we're closer down to them because we believe that that's what we're operating on. So things like archons are feeding off of us. We might be having demonic experiences, really negative ET experiences. And people often ask me, how come I don't have more negative ET experiences? And I think it's because I know I'm a higher frequency being. I keep myself in that realm, and they can't reach me. They can't connect. We have to come down because we believe we're 3D. We have to come down to 3D, and then the other frequency beings that are nefarious can attach to us, use us, abuse us, other horrible humans, all kinds of stuff. And so what if we're actually not 3D beings, but we're 4 or 5 or 6 or even higher? I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about that, Tyler?
Like I said, there's some people that just talk to me now and they are just giving me things that puzzle pieces that I need to, because you're just talking about, I literally had this conversation with a friend of mine up here in Ontario yesterday, and how all the occult stuff and the archons is literally just a quantum model of reality. It's just understanding how reality works as this big hologram that it is. And there's people that can explain this a lot better than I can, but basically everything that's here is a vibrating structured field. There's some invisible force holding it like this, or it would just fall into pieces, because we're not physical matter stacked on physical matter. Below that, we're just a projection of it. So all these, everything that's an image here in the third dimension. So we're third dimensional beings. We're experiencing up, down, left, right, forwards, and backwards in the fourth dimension of time. Time is basically just a means to map where something is in the third dimension. It's like every moment of your life is like a slice of a pie, and then that whole thing is a structure itself. So in order for energy to exist in 3 dimensions, it has to exist in 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions, 6 dimensions, and these are what, like, the crazy E8 lattice shape. You can try and visualize them as a dodecaheca whatever if you want. But basically, it's a big holographic reality making machine, and all the layers, different layers, are a gradient between an all-knowing entity and an entity dividing itself into lesser knowing entities like us to experience something other than itself as everything. So yeah, I when we're talking about dimensions, yeah, we do exist in multiple structural dimensions, but it's all non-physical, and the further out in space you go, the weirder it's going to get.
Yeah, I actually believe that as well. So I do a lot of things to keep my frequency higher, and it's been quite a few number of years now where I've developed what I call an internal observer. So I'm aware of my feelings, I'm aware of my thoughts, I'm aware of whatever's going on inside Karen. And when it's off course, I can course correct. I can take a look at the past, see mistakes I made, course correct in the now, and ensure that my tomorrow is better. I do that all the time. Boy, I tell you, you can dress me up, you can't take me anywhere. I talk about all this stuff all the time. and other people, it just freaks them right out, ordinary people, that I would see in my social reality, which is why I don't do that very much.
But
But
that's what that's what all human beings are striving for, as like that's within all older cultures around the world. You are we've all been led to believe that we are our meat suits, so our consciousness is created by our brains. There's not even any evidence to support that. It's junk. It's thrown out the window a long time ago. They're just not implementing it into our science, into our healthcare, our justice system, or anything like that. But we know it's not.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, for sure. And again, there are people who've had really negative ET experiences with demons and poltergeists and all that. And I just think, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. They're probably beautiful, sensitive people, but if you believe the 3D is all there is, and you don't realize that we can raise our frequency, we can do it through music, essential oils, crystals, just conscious awareness is so powerful. And it's interesting too. I've been learning about some of the more horrific stuff that's going on in this world, and apparently there are all kinds of beings. I don't know, they pass themselves off as human. I don't know if they are or not, but they can't do the kind of stuff you and I can do, and our audience. They can't do that. They don't know how, and they don't have the technology, but for some reason we're born with it. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
yeah. Yes. So humans are multi-dimensional beings. How I think they are at the point where they can communicate with source, and
Mm-hmm.
that's we've been doing that forever. Um, but yeah, that must have to do with our origins, right? Our history is pretty clear now. Fallen angels or interdimensional beings coming from higher frequencies of reality have created us. That is the most the most logical explanation of how we got here. It's the best one we have. It's the only one that really
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. It's the only one that really makes sense from a holistic perspective of what human beings are, what we're capable of, and and it's written in stone. So anyone that wants to argue that, I think you're struggling with delusion at this point. Um, but yeah, human beings are clearly we're not designed for this planet. Like I know they like to tell us, well, we were in the sun for a while and all our hair fell out. Where else do you see that? Where else do you see on this planet? You know, with our skin, if we wouldn't survive. I believe
Mm-hmm.
beings like Sasquatch, they make a lot more sense for this planet.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we were designed for somewhere else, or a good portion of us has come from somewhere else. And there are people saying now that this explains races as well, because they are, and there's people with copper-based blood that are high, that are closer to that frequency of the next reality, that they protect that bloodline so they can um, have that interdimensional link into higher or lower dimensions, however you want to visualize it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now you're working on a model that will help people with their mental health. Is that correct?
Well, it's helping me articulate what's going on from an energetic perspective, and I
Mm-hmm.
realize that this could be a great asset to people like me who are left brain thinking and really want to be able to understand. I left policing to look into mental health to deal with mine, and
Mm-hmm.
that's led to freaking alien UFOs showing up and all kinds of crazy stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm trying to take away from a couple of years of looking into reality, mental health, and CE5 conduct. If I believe if we can implement this understanding of these two principles, yin and yang. If you understand yin and yang, that they explain all of reality. And to me, how can you expect there's a ginormous mental health issue in our country. If the listeners are not aware, people are killing themselves left, right, and center. We now have a program where the government will kill you for you if you want them to.
Yeah, it's
And
very successful. Over 10,000
well,
Canadians every year.
yeah, it's like Nazi era suicide machine, and we're just not questioning it here. In the same breath, our control paradigm is giving us the opportunity to kill ourselves while simultaneously suppressing the technology for everyone to live disease and cancer free,
Yeah.
as well as live probably for a very, very long time, if not forever. So we're in the end of this yuga where there's probably going to start being a lot of people that are going to live for a long time. There's probably people on the planet that already have been living for a very long time, and there's many people talking about this. But that's why they're trying to get rid of a lot of people right now. That's why we have the depopulation agenda. There's not enough space for all the billionaires to have their elbow room in the Cotswolds. They're trying to get rid of a lot of people, and that's why we just went through what we just went through with the bioweapon COVID thing.
Do you think that part of the reason they want to get rid of us is because we are having an elevation or opening of consciousness? And you know about the 100th monkey thing, where, okay, I'm sure everyone out there, I don't need to explain it. If you don't know, Google the 100th monkey phenomenon. And so when a certain amount of us are awake and clearly see what's going on and choose not to participate in it, they're done. There's nothing they can do. They don't even have any power. The only power they have is through brute force, as far as I can see. Certainly not a high level of intelligence, and no compassion, no empathy. I don't know. What's your thought about that?
So this is what I'm trying to get at with the electromagnetism thing. We can articulate all that. Excuse me. It is a machine that is all knowing and has a knowing of a rock, right? And we are somewhere in this between. And there is a force, there is a negative force trying to keep us with the knowledge of a rock, or a very low awareness of our reality. And then there's another force that wants us to come back to where it is, to source and be everything. And everything happens between this spectrum. It's all an ascending scale of awareness. Everything that here is intelligent being. Everything is part of this intelligent being. All energy is inherently intelligent. Your body knows how to hold itself in its form without your awareness of it. There's a greater aspect of your mind concentrating, keeping you in that form, but you as Karen on Canada are not aware of it, or I don't think you are anyway. Maybe you are, I'm not sure. But it's all this ascending scale. So the draconians, or these non-emotional beings, we evolved to have emotions. We are mammals. We are horde mammals. We developed empathy as a result of play, and we needed empathy to survive our reality in our frail state. We needed to be able to work together and use our logical brains to survive here, to build things, to work together, to farm. We needed to do that. We seem to be engineered to do that. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent now. It's all good.
It's all good.
What
was my question?
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm all over the place too today.
I know too.
So, well, basically, what I was wondering is, so what's interesting is you use the term draconian. recently I've come to understand that not the that the people who are holding the majority of power and wealth, who want to run everything their way, they're extremely psychopathic. They do not have the ability for empathy or compassion, and they actually have rituals they do to remove any empathy or compassion they might be having, not to mention the way they treat their young to traumatize them to the point to produce basically soldiers for what they want to do. Meanwhile, we have the compassion and the empathy, but more than that, we've got the creative ability, the creative understanding. I've had transdimensional travel. A lot of people have. I'm not that unique. And we can do all kinds of things that they can't do. I think that's partly why they want to reduce the population. They don't want us to come into our power. And they want to reduce the power we just naturally have. And what's interesting about that is, there's all different kinds of ETs. The kind that I had my experiences with are transdimensional. They're in another realm. They're not like the Greys and the Pleiadians and mantids and all this stuff people talk about here. But I'm wondering, I know this is a little off topic, but I'm wondering if those that are doing all this nefarious stuff, if they aren't ETs, which would be why they're put such a tight lid on ET disclosure as well as Epstein disclosure.
Well,
And again,
Epstein,
it's all keeping us from realizing who we are.
exactly. The Epstein thing, anybody that's really paying attention has known this for a very long time. It's just not news to Earth. There have been credible witnesses talking about this for a very, very long time. It's all being timed to release. If we're finding out about this stuff now, it's because they want it to. It's working into the timing. It's all to distract us what's going on behind, because it leads to why they're suppressing UFOs, why they're suppressing metaphysics. It leads into exactly what we're talking about, is Earth being a multi-dimensional structure that is co-created by the inhabitants here. So yes, that's exactly what's happening. You are tapping into those. You have empathy, and empathy is a logical thing to have. It makes sense for survival. There are beings that may not possess that on the other end of the spectrum. That, oh god, kids are freaking out now. But yeah, so how I see it now is there's a good end for us and there's a bad end for us, right? We're emotional beings. We think murdering children and eating them is bad, and there's another side of that spectrum that thinks it's a good thing. But though they're influenced from negative beings, all of reality is a spectrum. It has to have its yin and yang. It has to have its every bit of magnetism has to have its bit of electricity. It has to have this balance, or it can't exist. So there's really, really all lovely things that are going on where we're all get together and we think we're whatever, and we can do C5 and we're getting closer to Earth and beings will show up. And then there's people that get together and try to lower the conscious frequency. That comes back to the 100 monkey thing, right? It's the co-creative reality. The big secret, I know I've said it on the show if I haven't already, is reality is egregorical. What we believe is what we will perceive. We are literally, the speed of thought is literally faster than the speed of light. We are creating it as we go. That's why they have people like, that's why they have organizations like whatever Epstein's involved in, is to keep the frequency of the planet down as a collective. That stuff is in our field. Us as a species are doing it, even though I'm not doing it and you're not doing it, but that's in our field. So we are nothing but a collective frequency. And that's what I believe flat Earth is. I think Earth. So everything exists in the terms of sacred geometry. It exists as a point, it exists as a line, it exists as a shape, it exists as a more complex, multidimensional shape, and then this goes up into complexes that I can't comprehend, and it goes up forever. But we've been debating whether the Earth is round or flat for a very long time. Is it a 2D structure or is it a 3D structure? Or is it a 1D structure or is it a 4D structure? I believe that's where our species is capable of understanding right now, as well. It's either flat or it's round, and they're keeping us arguing about that. They're bringing in good arguments for both sides. Only a few people allowed to go to space. I'm still on the Earth is round model, but I've never been to space, and if I see evidence that make me believe otherwise, but I don't believe it. I believe Earth is. Yeah, I believe Earth is round, and that's the only thing that makes sense to me from what I know about it and all the systems involved and how things get here and whatever. But I believe the argument is to keep us. The idea is to keep us arguing. Do we have lower frequency? Do we? The idea is to get us to. This is all the nasty stuff is. This is what all flat Earth is. It's to get us perceiving ourselves as lower conscious beings. Like there's people that would like. There's people that would like us to perceive ourselves as animals or filth or not even worthy of life or feelings, and then there's people that believe everyone is the creator themselves, and we're all here to have a big party, right? Well, I believe the whole plot is just it's all just trying to stop ascension of human consciousness, because our bodies are not in our minds. Our minds are not in our bodies. Our bodies are in our minds.
I would agree with you. I myself think that the Earth is flat and a sphere. I think it's both, because I think we're projecting it as we need it to be. I think we are literally creating and projecting like a holographic reality. For those of you who want to know more in the audience, look up simulation theory. Now, it's called simulation theory, but it doesn't mean that it's not real. I mean, and that was what I wanted to ask you, Tyler. Do you think we're avatars someplace else, and we're going through this experience? Like, for instance, maybe we volunteered for the station we're in and for the experiences we're having to be an avatar, like for a Karen who's someplace else, who's safe and warm, and this is all for some bigger purpose that we didn't think about.
Yeah, I think it's all, or what I can figure out, or I believe is, it's all a machine to create experience. Yeah, we are avatars. There's no question about our military guys are talking about we can using this technology for robots. But we're already this is going to, if we get into this is going to get us into the gray agenda and what the plot of consciousness is on the planet now, what the billionaires are trying to do, because this is going to be a whole other show, because it's literally the reason why I'm doing this is that I do not want these people influencing my children or the next generation, because they're literally trying to turn us into little gray beings.
Well, I actually have seen enough evidence to think that might truly be. I'll tell you why, is because the ETs and other dimensional beings that I personally have had experiences with, they don't operate in physicality the way we do. They have a completely different way of being. They also vibe on what I call the love harmonic. And why love? Because love is the only thing that's functional. It works, and compassion and empathy, I think, are part of love. And we need to learn to love. We need to learn what love is, and we need to learn to love ourselves before we can start loving others. But this world is getting more and more unsafe. I'm not sure where it's headed, but I do have great faith in humanity that we're going to stand up and say, enough is enough is enough. And we want something different. And actually, we're starting to see hints of that in Britain and other places. And I'm not saying I agree with one political structure or another. No, I don't. Not really. Not at this point. But anyway, yeah, it's a lot to wrap your head around. That's for sure.
You'd have to be crazy to believe the government has your best intentions in mind. There's never been any evidence to support that theory. Because
or historically, it hasn't. It's always been a couple of people, and they have brute force military, and they have power, and they call the shots. And
so
it's go
it
ahead.
seems the world seems awful, scary, and fucking crazy and beyond belief right now. But it's this stuff has always been going on. We're getting back to the nasty cold stuff, what they've been doing. It's always been going on. It's coming to light now, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're being exposed because we are heading, I believe, for another interpretation of what's going on here.
Mm-hmm. I agree too. Now, Tyler, I'd love to have you back another time. Maybe we could go down a different rabbit hole, with the whole agenda and the avatars and the grays and all of that. It's fascinating discussion.
Yeah.
But we're almost out of time for today's program. But I want to give you some space for anything that we didn't get a chance to say or talk about that you want to get across to the audience, because I think it's important.
Yeah. So what I really wanted to talk about today is we only really scratched the surface of this model. But I believe if you understand these basic principles of yin and yang, that is the keystone to discerning everything: your relationships with your family, your an understanding of reality itself, how energy works, how you work in an energetic reality, how your mind works, and how quantum physics works. Because this concept of yin and yang is at the bottom of all of them. You can literally just throw it up here. You can map all that. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you can map all of reality by understanding these concepts. So moving forward, this is something I'm going to be developing and talking about is the me model, the magnetic electric mind model, because I believe just a few concepts and you can teach your kids about all of reality just from learning about two things. And it's bonkers to me that we don't do this. And this is how I'm trying to contribute right now. You can reach me at the Lost Channel Research Center, the Lost Channel CE5 Research and Retreat on Facebook. That wasn't right at all. I'll put the links in there. Yeah. And
Awesome.
I'm still talking to contactees of beings here in Canada and beyond who want to maybe get another interpretation of what's going on here from not from the perspective of Newtonian science, because that's what you'll get from a mental health institution in this country. They're not competent enough to, in my opinion, the mental health system is not competent enough to be discussing anyone's mental health because they're ignoring the foundation of reality. And that's a bold statement.
Absolutely.
That's a bold statement, but that's where we're at. We're in a mental health crisis, and we need to deal with it.
We really, really are. I remember the last time I went to see a mental health professional. I was having a few problems. My mom had just passed away and stuff. And I walked out of there and I went, Karen, you're never going back. They are crazier than you are. And you've heard the expression physician heal thyself. Going to mental health, and it's just a zoo, and no empathy, and it's just horrible. And so anyway, so I set about curing and healing myself, because I thought, well, I can't do a worse job. Funny thing is, I'm actually have a degree in social work, and the reason I went into social work was because I'd had so many horrible social workers. So I thought, well, even if I'm a mediocre social worker, I'm sure not going to be worse than those guys. It was so funny how it turned out. But anyway, we're going to have to save some of this for another show. I'm really glad to have you back. Everybody, the links are in the description below, so you can find Tyler, and just want everybody to keep believing and keep trusting your what I call my spidey senses. Those senses that people would just kind of think you're crazy if you talk about them, but they're so real. And the more validation we get, then the more we believe. And I think it actually strengthens the whole system. And
That's it. It's a co-creative environment. It's a co-creative reality. That shit works better in high belief environments. If you have people in your life telling you that shit doesn't work, then it doesn't work because they don't believe it and they're affecting your fucking shit. But that's how CE5 groups work. If you get them all together and they all believe this stuff's possible, holy crap.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And the other thing I want to just quickly throw out there is the placebo effect. Use the placebo effect to heal yourself. I mean, I'm not perfect at it, don't get me wrong, but it's really powerful. And we've got all these God-given gifts that we don't even know about. Let's start playing with them and using them and report back.
Yeah, that's it. The placebo effect, that is the egregore. That is what I'm talking about. The co-creative thought being faster than speed. Placebo effect, egregore, it's the same thing, and that's the biggest secret. And that's where all the UFO stuff, it all leads to the egregore. We're making this reality. Earth is basically a big spaceship that we design and pilot. Have a nice.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, so true. Well, thank you so much, Tyler, for being on the show today. Always get a bang out of our conversations. And, a lot of this stuff I think about, but, it's nice to have someone to bounce it off of. So thank you for taking the time. Sorry about the technical issues. Love to have you back. And we'll keep doing what we're doing. I want to thank everybody in the live chat today, and those watching the live show, those watching replays, those listening on an audio platform. I want to thank the new members. I'm very excited that I have some new members on my channel, and everything is coming up roses. So thank you, everybody, and we'll say bye-bye for today. Take care. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available in Amazon bookstores worldwide. Check out my website at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.